Welcome back to Letsdig18's sandbox as we play again a day on the pond dam build. This is not your normal pond dam. Anytime you're going to move some dirt and you're going to get it up 25 foot high over the distance that we cover with this thing, it's going to take quite a lot of dirt. I mean, I'm not a dirt guy, but when you stand back and you look at it where we started at and you look at things, you're like, it's going to take quite a bit. And then you get it up there where you getting pretty close, or what you think is getting pretty close. And about every, couple hours, 2.5 hours, something like that, we'd kind of all congregate and, let's dig. He'd walk over and he'd be like, yeah, we still got about 8 foot more to go. And I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me, man. And I wish I had $1 for every time he said, we need more dirt, y'all. This pond size got increased quite a lot over the 2 days just because of having to search for more dirt to put in there and get it situated. So this whole video is all drone footage from my drone here. What's kind of funny was Let's Dig. I ran the 550 in yesterday's video, and of course, his famous words were, "Don't scratch the counterweight." And then as we were doing this right here too, he asked me, he said, will you fly my drone too? And so some of his video there that he posted on the second day of the drone, I actually flew his drone too. So I got to run the 550 and I got to fly Letsdig18's drone for him too. So that was pretty cool. I can only imagine the things that was probably going through Chris's mind is, he's out of the 550 and I'm in it running it. He's probably cutting over his shoulder, every few seconds thinking he better not scratch that counterweight. He better not scratch that counterweight. And then his drone is probably thinking, please God, don't crash my drone. Don't crash my drone. But everything went well. We didn't have no issues or nothing like that. When I watch the videos and watch his video that he posted too, the scale and the magnitude of what we're doing really makes sense and puts it into real perspective when I look back and see it. Because, when you're sitting there in the mix of it, you can't really tell. You're doing a lot, but you can't really tell the big picture of things. And watching the videos really makes it real. Right here where he's cutting, he's right on top of some rock. It's not really like rock. It's some kind of real weird looking stuff. The bucket would cut through it pretty decent, but it wasn't anything that you would want to put in a dam. It was not desirable for that. So that kind of messed us up a little bit on our cut. We would have liked to have went a lot deeper right there to get more clay. That's where we needed more clay from, and we couldn't go no deeper. We had to kind of stay above that stuff. All right, let's talk about the kind of the basics of the pond dam and building a pond dam. You come in there and you figure out where you're going to put it at, and you shoot your elevations on it, kind of get an idea of the amount of dirt that it's going to take, and start moving the. Got to have the area cleared first, and you start moving the topsoil back because you don't want that topsoil, mixed into any of your layers or the dam sitting on top of the topsoil or nothing like that. So once you get all that situated, there's old Chris right there. Once you get all that situated and you're dealing with the clay, then it's time to start going to work. The first thing, you got to core it. Core is basically a giant tongue and groove. It locks the dam in place. It also keeps water from going underneath the dam. If you just put the dirt, layered it right on top of what was there, and there wasn't a core in there like a tongue and groove, the water can, seep right underneath the dam because the dam is actually not locked in to the earth right there. So the core was the core. The bulldozer I was running, I guess that blade was probably 10 foot wide, I guess. And so Chris dug a trench, if you will, or a ditch, or like if you were going to put in a water line, it'd be the same difference. Dug that trench about 10, little better than 10 foot wide, and he probably dug it down about 4 feet deep or so, I guess. It was probably right around there. It ain't got to be perfect, but it was wide enough for me to fit inside with the bulldozer. So he cores it. The whole dam is like that, underneath the dam, all the way around, like where you see over where the bulldozer is, all the way back around behind the bulldozer. You core that thing all the way around, all the way to where the packer's sitting right there, all the way up at that next hill. You throw the dirt out of it, and then you start filling it back in with clay. And it's called lifts. So a lift is basically like a step of dirt. So you start putting lifts in, and lifts going to run like what we're doing here. You're going to end up running about 2 foot of lift every time you put a layer in. That's what you're looking at. So you're basically stepping it up. And oh, by the way, you kind of got to figure too, and it's hard to figure. I get, probably for me it's hard to figure, but somebody that does dirt all the time, building slopes and everything, they got to start out with it a certain width. And as you're going up with it, it kind of tapers up to the top to where you already, where you get to where it's really narrow on the top. And when we started, I was worried that I was kind of pushing it too wide. And then as we started getting up to probably about that, that 20-foot mark, it was obvious that it was not wide enough then. And like I said, it's another thing that it's hard to kind of tell. So there's Chris right there walking. He's walking over. He's thinking, dude, look, you need to be pushing the dirt. You put the drone up, for God's sakes, please get on the bulldozer, push dirt. No, he wasn't saying that. We were discussing looking at it to kind of see the widths and stuff like that. But it's kind of hard to visualize the width as to where you're going to end up at on top. And when we got the end of the second day, the top had gotten pretty narrow enough to the point to where on that Saturday, Chris and Robert ended up having to go in there and build on the face of it. We built on the back of it a good bit, and they had to kind of build on the face to kind of widen it out to where it would get the top back wide enough to come on up. But you put that lift in there, and then you pack it. And of course, with the haul truck running on it, you're looking at probably over 100,000 pounds on 6 wheels. And so the haul truck is doing a fantastic job, packing where it's in its tracks right there, pushing that dirt down, which this dirt right here didn't need a whole lot of moisture, and it was really nice. It was borderline where it was sticking, on like stuff, so it was just right for all that. But so you put that lift in. We would start over there by Chris's truck, come all the way around, trying to keep it about 2 foot thick. We got around, and Robert would get on the packer. We all took turns on the packer, running the packer, and we'd run the packer, got to pack it in again. The haul truck, it's finishing packing it off as it's running on it with all the weight that this on it. And so then once you got the packer run on it, then we would start back. I'd back all the way back up there to where Chris's truck was, and we'd start with another lift. And it's just, repeat. And there's been, I've seen people asking in Chris's videos, about the speed of it, and as far as moving the dirt. Chris said it 2 or 3 different times. It was we were doing it about 4 times faster with a 550 than what it would have been with the, with say a 220 excavator or something like that. Because he's putting 3 scoops on the truck. The truck's only probably actually holding about better than 2.5. It won't quite hold that 3rd full scoop. And I know he told me that it took, I think, 12 scoops on that new excavator that he's got, that 220, I believe it is, that he's got. And so a lot more difference as far as loading the truck up pretty fast. It's kind of wonky loading that truck too. I was watching him. I never loaded it with it because the bucket on that machine is so big that you had to kind of curl and move the bucket at the same time, because if you didn't, you would miss the bed of the truck as far as the dirt going in it. That's just how big that bucket is on that thing. But Robert's driving the haul truck. We were gonna swap up, and as we started on the dam, and the dam started getting narrow, driving anything that's articulating a little bit, and we had a couple of times, you can see right over Chris's bucket right there, where Robert he got over a little bit too close, and Chris had to rescue him right there. It kind of started sinking. We had it happen a few different times throughout the thing. So we just kind of left everything way it was. I stayed on the bulldozer, Robert stayed in the haul truck, Chris stayed on the excavator, and we just flat roll with it and just kept that pace up like we did. As we were getting kind of this point, you can see Chris is about out of clay again. And I was thinking, I'm not sure there's enough clay in North Carolina to finish this dam out or not, because I don't think right here, somewhere right around in here during this time period, maybe after I got the drone down, Chris, I actually set the laser up and shot it, and man, we were still bad low. And I thought, gosh, dog. So I ended up having to get there's a log pile up there on the hill. Well, there was a big, like a topsoil pile up there too. We went ahead and started moving the topsoil pile and putting it off the back of the dam to kind of increase the width of the dam. And then Chris had the owner of the property, Mr. David, get on his 220 that he had up there and move that log pile that was on kind of like, it's right directly under where the drone is sitting right now, because we were finna have to have that dirt. I mean, so he moved that pile of logs up there to where Chris could go on up there and get started digging, because I mean that was our only option. Because again, where the teeth marks are coming across, that's right on that kind of that rocks type stuff, whatever it was. It was wasn't like, like hard like limestone, because a bucket would cut. You could feel it like when you're in a 550 running it. You could feel it when you would hit it, but it just would cut through it, just crazy. But it wasn't. Every now and then Chris would get a rock, pretty good rock, and it would end up in the dump truck. And as I was pushing, when I would run across a big one like that, I would go ahead and catch it with the corner of the blade and flip it off the back of the dam there, and where it would roll on down the dam. And so what I did with the drone, I've got the controller sitting there in the dozer with me, and I just moving the drone around and letting it sit there and hover, lock in and hover there and fly and film us while we were doing it. There's probably going to be a couple of more videos of this project that'll come from me, because I filmed so much. I run the cameras a lot. I wanted to do a long-term time lapse, but I fooled around, and when I left, I left my big battery pack that I power the cameras with long-term. I failed to put it in the truck with me when I went, so all I had was just my normal GoPro batteries, because when you're going to do a long time lapse, you got to power the camera with an external battery pack to get it through the day. And it would have been really neat to do it, but there again, I dropped the ball on that and forgot it, and it was sitting here at the house. I've been kind of amazed too at the comments and everything that has come through, and the people that's come over from Chris's channel to come over here and watch this. Because I was really worried if it would pay off for me to go up there or not. I enjoy being around Chris. All of us that are creators, we all kind of have the same mindset and the same work ethic. We work like crazy, and so it's easy to get along and work together. But I wasn't sure how it was going to work as far as, my videos that I posted, how well they'd be received or anything like that. And so you kind of start second guessing yourself whether you've done the right thing, because, like me being over there, driving, just the cost to drive 600 miles one way and 600 miles back, and that expense there, and then the time that I lose from working over here. I could be doing numerous things, trade work, whatever. But I'm here to tell you, it paid off for me. It's been very well worth it. That worry is completely gone now, and it's one of those things you gamble on stuff and you hope it works out, and this one here did. It worked out really well. Worked out so well to the point to where Jill and I were talking, and I'd like to go back on some of these larger jobs that Chris has and go over there a couple of times a year. I wish I had an airplane to fly back and forth, because it'd make it a lot quicker. Luckily for me, unlucky for him, this job is quite a ways from his house there where he's at. So in his area, so it saved me about 100 miles of driving where I ended up having to go to. Did I learn a lot? I learned a lot of stuff. Anytime you can go out and do something like this, I think even seasoned operators and people, it's still good to get out and get around other people, because you may see something that you pick up a little trick that may speed you up or help you out in your job when you get back to the house. You never know what you may learn, and they may learn something from you. And so it's always a good thing to kind of mix and mingle and and be around one another like that, working together. What was one of the things that I learned? The haul truck. The haul truck, if you're going to move dirt, that is the ticket to being able to move it, like on this pond dam, point A to point B, really quick. I could see where if I was doing dirt work, I would definitely have me one of those things, because you could use it for moving debris, dirt, whatever you needed to do. Just a huge benefit, because it's taking 3 scoops to load the haul truck, and I couldn't push but about one with the bulldozer when Chris was dropping in front of me. So I'm getting the haul truck's bringing 3 at a time, and I'm not having to roll the dirt as far, and it makes moving it, I was amazed at how quick that we were moving the dirt, because Chris would get over there and he would pile up just a crazy pile of dirt, and it wouldn't take us no time, and that pile would be just completely gone. I'd glance over there and he'd be just sitting on like what he's sitting on right now. It'd be over with, and we'd start looking for more dirt to go. This was fun as we were getting closer to Chris. It made him have to speed up a little bit more, because it shortened the distance a good bit between where the haul truck dumped and then back to Chris. So he'd come up there, dump it pretty quick. So we were working the dog out of each other, and Chris, we were texting back and forth today, and Chris said he needed a bigger truck, and I said, you get a bigger truck out there. I said, you're gonna need to get me a D8 or something to push with. But I tell you, man, it amazes me at what a minimum amount of people can do. There's 3 of us here working, and what we're doing as far as is moving this dirt in the amount of time that we did. This pond was basically built in a week. I mean, the whole thing's over and done with. And then Chris turned around this last week and built the other pond over there on the other one that he's going to build for Mr. David. So, I mean, in 2 weeks' time, the ponds or 2 ponds were built. I mean, quick. Of course, it costs a lot. You take these 3 machines, the 550, probably, I'm going to say it's probably burning over 10 gallons an hour. And then the haul truck running, the packer running a little bit, but the haul truck running all day. And then the bulldozer running all day. I was, on like pushing like this right here out of the haul truck, the dirt wasn't packed as tight when it hit the ground as it was like when Chris was dumping the dirt from way up high. So it was actually easier for me to move with this bulldozer. So I wasn't burning as much fuel on the second day as I did the first day. Again, the first day I was burning right around 14 liters an hour of fuel, and I think I was staying 10, 11 liters an hour on the dozer on this one here to do the pushing on this, because this, when it come out of the haul truck, it was relatively easy to push this stuff. You can see Robert dumping. Look, so we rubbed the it's just a mirror finish in the bed of that truck there. That's how much dirt went in there and came out of it and got it all shined up. But see, the dozer, you can just kind of go through it, catch it. And I'm trying to filter a good bit off that right side over there. We're trying to get up to grade, but trying not to waste dirt, but also needed the dam a little bit wider. That's Mr. David right there that's walking. You can see behind him that whole side, all that's topsoil that we've pulled off. And then the next video that you'll see will be running that slope with that topsoil. I actually ran 2 cameras over there doing that, and I'm trying to make the lift as wide as I can make it. And so I'm just kind of working a pile left and right side of it and kind of pushing it. And I didn't really smear it out because I wanted Robert to back all the way up to all the way up to me right there to where I quit pushing at each time to dump, kind of give him a target to aim at. But all in all, man, it's good. Just again, a lot of dirt roll. Thank goodness Chris had that 550 Volvo there, because we wouldn't have got nowhere near where we would have been, without that machine there. Because we've got a 200 John Deere, and those excavators right there, they move a lot of dirt, but they don't move what that 550 will move. I'm telling you, that thing will get some dirt done. So I'm jumping out. My battery's about dead on my drone now. I got to fly it over here and get it back on the ground and get back to pushing. But I appreciate y'all watching. Appreciate all the comments and people tagging along. I sure have enjoyed reading them. We'll catch y'all later. Later, taters.